Hi, this is Ashley Cox. I am the Director of Client Services at Lyft Sports Management, and this is Her Table.
Now you see her.
You are magnificent!
Welcome to Her Table, the podcast that shines a spotlight on the badass women who are redefining the game. Join hosts Kate Foley and Megan Martinez as they unlock the secrets of success from the brightest female pioneers in the industry.
Welcome back to another episode of Her Table. You guys, we are here on our new beautiful set, Megan. I love it. I'm so excited to get Ashley Cox in studio today. She is the client service manager for Lyft Sports Management. She has been immersed in the business of basketball for 7 years and has worked with multiple agencies and some star-studded athletes.
Ashley is a former Division I athlete. She played volleyball at University of California, Riverside, and she graduated with a degree in media and cultural studies. Ashley has experience working at NBA Summer League in Las Vegas and was a team manager with the Adidas Nations basketball camp.
I even think she has some gold medals for Junior Olympics, too, under her belt.
That's amazing.
I know. We might have an Olympian on our hands today.
Love that.
I cannot wait to see what she has been up to since I last talked to her on the Sports Business Classroom audio experience. Make sure you guys tune into that. Great stuff there. Let's get Ashley on the show and welcome her to Her Table. You're the first guest we've had on the show on this set.
Yeah.
I know.
Honored.
Just for you. We actually brought it in just for you because you were first today.
Isn't it Women's Month?
It is.
It
Today,
is. March
1st is Women's History Month.
I'm
so
truly honored.
We've actually planned it exactly like that.
You're like, wait, no.
I'm driving
March
and I'm
1st.
like, oh, it's Women's Month. Oh, perfect. Lined it up. Right. Yes. Yes, you think we'd be on top of it.
Yeah.
Just a couple other things
There's
going
too
on.
many, like, national whatever day.
Yeah.
And I think the days change each year, so
Yeah,
I
they
can't
do.
keep up.
And I'm just like, okay, if someone wants to celebrate me, fine. But it's not like I have circled on my calendar. Like, yay, I get to celebrate myself starting today. You know what I mean?
I mean, I do, but no, I'm kidding.
Megan's like, it's Monday. It's a normal day for us.
Yes,
So
exactly.
It's good. Okay, so you're here in LA still, remote.
Yes.
Love it. Okay, where are you at now?
I'm at Lyft Sports
Okay.
Management.
I love it.
Yes, and I love it. I'm really happy. I get to work with my same boss, my same clients, and I really do love the group that I'm working with, so it's been great. I'm coming up on a year in April, so time is flying by.
I feel like that's like a common theme of time just absolutely flying by. Like just waking up. And sometimes I'm like, it's so slow, and then it just keeps going.
Yeah, it's hard for me to sometimes recall like when things have happened. I never know because half the time I think we're on autopilot.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and it's the same every year. Unfortunately, in sports, it's the same timeline. It's the same system. It's the same games and playoffs and draft and like, you know what I mean? You go through the same things every year.
right,
So
you're like,
you
it's
do-
that time of year again, right? Like, didn't we do this 3 months ago?
Yep.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day, you're like, oh, we're back again.
Exactly.
And we're up again.
Exactly.
No, okay, so what's your exact title over there? Because I know all our listeners want to know.
I'm Director of Client Services.
Okay.
So just kind of lead the client service team. There's not really a team right now, but we're going to get there eventually. So my goal and hope is that I get to, lead that team as we continue to grow and build.
I told Kate earlier, because I am so foreign to like this agency, like everything about that. And our listeners probably don't know about it. So like, can you break it down for me? Because I'm like, what exactly does Ashley do? Like,
So I'm an extension of my boss, who is the agent.
Okay.
So I just handle all the day-to-day needs for our guys when it comes to brand deals that they might have. I'm kind of facilitating that, making sure that they're completing their social deliverables or just whatever the brand obligations are. So it's kind of my responsibility. I think client services, there's no like clear definition of the position. It's anything and everything. So it can be setting up travel. It can be making a dinner reservation, booking hotels, making sure client tickets are, for their families are taken care of, working with the team. So it's a
She's
lot.
like the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Like literally,
Yeah.
that's what I would say. Is like you're like the gatekeeper of like you're like everything falls behind you, and then you can kind of delegate
Yeah.
where and how you need to bring in someone for assistance or hand it off or like
Absolutely, yeah.
redirect it. It's a lot of pressure though, because you're handling a lot of the small details that matter so much, to where if it messes up, you know what I mean?
It
It's-
might.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're like and it's something as simple. Like I think people forget that the simplest things sometimes are the hardest things, and like just even tickets are so hard because
Yeah.
you gotta get them, and are they in the right name, and are they at will call at the right time, and someone's there and their ticket's not there, and you're like, I literally had 87 conversations. And then the people at the team are always like, yes, your tickets are there. Well, thank you for your 18th call today. We're going to get to you. And you're like, I just don't want to be in trouble. So like, can you make it
right? I think that's one thing that I'm navigating kind of right now is because the people in the positions at the teams, I think that I've been able to work with do a really good job of it. So like, they have their jobs, I have mine, and just kind of working with them as opposed to trying to tell them how to do their job, because they too are managing a whole team of guys and front office people and their families. And so just like being, I guess, a resource to the people at the team on behalf of, our clients.
And what sports do you guys represent?
Just basketball.
Just basketball. Okay, I was gonna say, is it difficult? Like, do different stadiums vary when you're like having like even like tickets dropping off for will call? Like, is it just like take me through that?
Well, how did you learn how to do that? Because no offense, you're not in class learning in your college class.
Right.
Here's how to handle player tickets and what that process is.
I think you kind of get thrown into the fire. I don't think it's something that's extremely difficult to figure out, right? But you have relationships with people. This past season, I've kind of learned like some teams, there's someone for literally everything, whereas other teams, it's like one person is handling the 5 things that the other team has 5 different people handling. So just like learning who handles what so that I'm not bothering the person who's not handling it. So yeah, I don't really know if I answered that correctly.
No, it's so true, because I think one of the things, like, I mean, I'm in the NBA too, so it's like you are like, okay, who do I go to for this?
Right.
Especially if it's a team you haven't worked with before.
Yes.
It's so inundated because there's like, hi, here's 30 new people, and I have to figure out what all of you do and who's the right person to call. And so sometimes it's nice to be able to call and be like, okay, I have somebody on this team, never worked with this team before. Who's good, who's bad, who gets it done, who is just going to fall through the cracks.
Right.
Because, at the end of the day, that's your job to navigate that, not the athlete's job to navigate it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I find oftentimes a lot of agents and male agents are like, yeah, you'll just handle it. And you're like, dude, like, what are you talking about? Like,
can you just
capable?
like maybe push me in the right direction?
Yeah, like, can you at least introduce me to the people I need to know instead of just let me over here like LinkedIn? Who should
and for me, I think, my boss will introduce me to the most higher up person, but that's not the person that I need to be dealing with. And I'm like, no. So then there'll be like someone for the family room. There's someone for away tickets. There's someone for home tickets, agent passes. And that's something that I've kind of been helping more with, is just making sure that my boss is good when he's going to different cities, which I think he can handle, but it's one less thing for him to have to worry about. And then also our basketball ops guy, he will reach out to me just when he needs an agent pass wherever he goes.
But it's kind of clutch though, because you're the gatekeeper, and you're like, I can make your life really easy, or I can make your life really miserable. So why don't you be a little nicer to me today, okay? Why don't you rethink how you're coming at me? Do you want to be standing outside in the rain looking for your credential, or would you like me to tell you where to go? But it's so true, though, because it's something so small. So, okay, so you're just in MBA. How do you navigate onboarding a new client? Because a lot goes into it. It's the agents sign them. Are you a part of that process? And then how do you handle onboarding, or is there a whole other group that handles onboarding?
We have someone else that handles the onboarding. We have an operations manager at our company. We have an admin assistant who kind of handles that. So I don't deal so much with the onboarding, but definitely making sure that I have what I need for our clients, whether that's, their address in their home city or like their team city, their off-season city, just having everything so that when I'm working with the marketing team and they're sending product or whatever it is, they're coming to me for that. So just making sure I have, I guess, what I need to work with our team. But as far as like onboarding, I kind of stay out of that.
What about
just wait for them to join? I'm like, hey, I'm Ashley.
You're like, okay,
trust me.
You get when you sign, you get me. Until then, stay away. Okay?
What about the recruiting process? What is that like? Are you a part of it?
I think it depends. I try not to be necessarily. I think my boss does a pretty good job of not involving me unless I need to be, because I think at times like lines can get blurred, right? And it takes away from you servicing the clients that you currently have, but it is important to meet people so that they're comfortable with you if they do sign with you, because then it's like you don't know them at all and they sign and it's like, here, this is Ashley, she does your day-to-day, trust her with your entire life. So I think in some cases I usually have met people before, players, their families before we've been able to sign them. But as far as like being involved in the full recruiting process, I don't want to be.
Why? Tell me why.
I just think it's not my lane.
Okay.
And so I want to own my lane. And like I said, I think lines can sometimes get blurred. So you have someone that, the agent obviously is recruiting. You have a basketball ops person or team that is part of recruiting. But when I'm client servicing, my responsibility is to manage and help our current roster, people that are signed to us. So
I think it's kind of smart because I do agree with you. I do think sometimes it's like, now you're responsible for if you get the client or not. And you're like, that's not my job. That's your job.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes you do have to support and help and lean in.
Of course.
But at the same time, I think it's really healthy too to be like, hey, like, your lane, keep swimming. Yeah. Like when it's time, we'll put everybody in the same pool. But until then, like, I have what my job is, and you can't take away from yourself.
Yeah. And I think it's different, at different agencies, because I remember kind of early on at our previous agency, I asked one of my friends at a different agency, like, at what point do you involve your client service people with players? And he's like, when they sign. So I think it just depends. So again, like I said, I'm sometimes involved. I get to meet them, build that relationship with them. And then other times I'm just like, just let me know when we sign.
I think every player is different too, because it's like stage and age. Like sometimes you have rookies, and then sometimes you have guys you're signing that are 5-year vets.
Right.
You know what I mean? So everybody has a different level of like what they need from support. And it's been interesting, especially in my career, to watch your level of engagement will be fluid, and it will change based on stage and age. Is like a thing I love right now from Melissa, is what they needed when they were 19 isn't going to be what they need when they're 30.
Absolutely.
And you have to feel and understand, how do you navigate for you, not take it personally of like, okay, I don't need you to do that anymore. You're like, I'm married, I have a wife, I have kids. Like, I don't need you to do it that anymore, because you're like, you needed me to do it, as opposed to like, okay, great. It's like raising children a little bit. It's like, awesome. Out the house you go.
That was something that I was navigating when I first started working with, not at Lyft, but our previous agency. Just like most of my boss's clients were 3, 4, 5 years, 10, in some cases, years. So I never wanted to like impose on, their circle and
like
what they had going
nucleus.
on. I wanted to gain their trust authentically. And so there were some guys in that first year that I barely dealt with, but they knew I was there as a resource. And now I think we're at a point where they do reach out every time they need something, obviously with brands, deals and stuff like that, then I'm way more involved. So, yeah.
Do you feel like that's hard for you to, it's a trust factor, and I always say like trust is earned, you know, and it's also a level of respect too, of like, okay, I'm here when you need me. Sometimes you're like thrown into it, and sometimes you're like a year, like, okay, I'm here. What do you think is a skill for you that has been really instrumental in you being able to not stay ready or diligent, but like, I'm here, and not be like, okay, well, you don't need me, and now all of a sudden you do? Because I think it would be really easy to internalize that, right? Of like, you didn't need me for a year, and now you need me to save your life. Like,
I don't ever take that personally. I think the guys have so much going on, and in season they're so focused, and so there might be times where I almost have to check myself, like, oh, I haven't checked in with so-and-so, because they're not, super demanding. And I don't think any of our guys are really demanding. But I talk to some more than I talk to others. So just making sure that I at least check in. And if they, might go MIA, or whatever for a while, I don't take that personally, because they just have so much going on. And I think for my clients that are like married, if I can't get an answer for them, I know to go straight to the wives, because they will make sure stuff gets done. So I kind of have figured out the solution for that.
What about like going through school? Was there like any classes or just like something that you took away from a class that you now use in your role today?
No.
Nothing.
I say that all the time. We literally just had this conversation, because it's like, I think there's been so much growth in opportunity to learn about the business of sports and sports management and agencies. But I still think there's so much room to grow as far as actual executable information, because nowhere is someone telling you how to deal with the really icky side of this and the emotional side and the hard side. It's like, okay, well, here's statistically what I should be doing, but no one's the same. They're not robots. And so you're like, okay, I've never handled this. And so now you either have to go lean on someone who has, or say, I don't know what to do here and I'm going to try. And if I get it wrong, we'll just keep trying. Because there's no class telling you how to do pretty much anything that's in client servicing.
No. And
it's like life skills.
Yeah.
100%.
It's like a life skills class.
I think that was something that, you know, when I was a little bit younger, I had so many relationships, but it wasn't like translating into a job, like a full-time position. I had like paid internships that I thought would turn into something full-time, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And so, you know, people would be like, you know, so many people do it on your own. And I'm like, I'm not ready. I haven't done this, that, and the other. And it's like, you have to be like thrown in the fire to kind of just figure it out, because a lot in this industry can't be taught.
Right.
You can go to school to learn about branding and marketing or journalism and stuff like that. But being an agent, like what school has a course on how to be an agent? Like, yeah, you take a test to be a certified agent, but that's not taught. You know, I think in a lot of ways, stuff in our industry is like you either have it or you don't, you know? So I would say, to answer your question, no. I went to school for media and cultural studies because at the time I thought I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. You know, I hate hearing my voice projected. So I quickly realized that I didn't want to do that anymore. And so, I don't think that my degree helped
you
in any way.
But I feel like that is the most authentic path to what you're looking for, because so many people, myself included, are like, this is what I wanted to do, but this is where I am currently at. Right. And I think, you know, so many times these young girls are like, what classes should I take? Whatever. I'm like, you need to take debate. You need to take public speaking. Anger management would be a good one, because you're like, I might go off the deep end today. It's just too much. Problems. Like, is there a class on problem solving?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, think about a class. It's like, okay, you're locked in a room. Get out.
Yeah.
That's probably, you have to figure it out, because no one's going to figure it out for you. And it's not like anyone's going to be like, okay, you need to do step A, B, C, and D, because they're doing their own thing. They have their own fire drill that they're working with. And I think what you said is so true, because I think networking is so important. Creating relationships is so important. But then also being vulnerable enough to go back to those people and say, hey, I am so inspired by you. I don't know how you do it. What would you do in this situation? And not feel like you're less than. Because I think it's so natural. I do it all the time where I'm like, I'm exposing myself as like a weakness of like, I don't know what to do. Instead of being like, okay, this is why we're friends. This is why we're in this industry friendly. Like, what'd you do here? Can you help me? And then having another person have your back makes you want to do it for somebody else.
Right.
But it's hard to go there. Have you ever had to call someone and be like, okay, here's a really hard question?
Yeah, I think at kind of each phase or step in my career and getting to where I currently am at, like you're at that one place and you're like, okay, I've kind of perfected it, right? But then there's new challenges that you face and there's new things that you have to learn. And so you have to be okay with asking for help. Like, I was never asking for help in the beginning to get a job, but then it's like, okay, I started doing that. Then my foot was in the door and I was meeting people. But more recently, I have started to ask more questions and ask for help, even just with like networking, which I feel like I'm pretty good at, and I've maintained so many good relationships over the years. But I think I got to a place where I haven't made a lot of new connections. Like, I've just had kind of the same ones for a very long time. And so being vulnerable and putting myself back out there and doing more networking type things, going to the mixers, like I reached out to Taylor Rooks recently right after Super Bowl, because I had seen that there was like this women's mixer. And I was like, I don't know if this is weird, but like, if you guys are doing anything in indie, will you tell me? And I would have never done anything like that in my life. But I was like, I just feel like I've retreated back into my shell and I need to get myself back out there again. And she's like, no, I'm so glad that you asked. Like, I'm glad you want to do that. I will definitely keep you in mind for, anything that we have going on in the future. And I was like, okay.
That's amazing.
And I thought it was the weirdest thing ever. But I mean, if you don't say anything.
Why did you feel like it was weird? Were you just nervous for them?
I think I was nervous. I'm prideful. I don't know.
No,
Again, I just would never really ask for help. And I don't know.
It's so natural though. I feel like you have that fear of like rejection, or at least I get that fear. Like, let me reach out to them, and let's say she doesn't respond, then like you it's like the pride thing where it's like, oh, that like hurts your ego a little bit. So
what
it's
if they're like, you're weird?
Yeah, yeah, like I'm cool.
That's you, not me. So like you're projecting. You just keep that over there.
But it is scary to do that.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important because, and what I will say is, when you've been through that and now someone who reaches out to you, you're going to take that moment of what that meant to you and you're going to pay it forward.
Right.
So I think it's, I'm so guilty of this sometimes where it's like, yeah, like hit me up, whatever. And then I just get slammed and I lose it. And then I'm like, okay, I'm a total jerk. Like I dropped the ball. But I also think that for me, especially on the show, is like, how do we create a place for women to have a conversation to be like, hey, I don't know you, but we are in the same conversation. How can I help you, or what can I do for you, or just how do I get to know you as a person? But I do feel the older you get, the more you have to put into relationships. You literally have to like make time.
Yes.
How do you balance that? I mean, you're younger. Younger. She's not as old as me. Thank God. The old granny here. But like you're established. So like how do you navigate your friend group with your career? It's something I struggled with really early on, was the boundary of losing Kate to become Kate in sports. And then you can't go back unless they're like ride or die friends.
Right. I think that for me, a lot of my friends, a lot of my closest friends live all over the country. And so I already don't get to see them that often. And I think we're all in different places in our lives. I have friends that are married with kids. I have friends that are just in relationships, but they recently moved. Friends that are doing really well in their careers. And when I was a little bit younger, like I was the one still trying to figure it out. But with having friends in different places in their lives, like I never took it personally. I don't think they ever took it personally. So I've been fortunate in that way, but you do have to make time.
So much.
My best friend lives 15 minutes from me and I never see her. I
Stop
don't
it.
talk to her that often.
I'm challenging you right now.
I know. But it's like, but we'll get together. Like I would much rather us plan a day where I'm going to her house and we just have a girls' night and we can catch up on things.
And do nothing.
And do nothing because she's traveling for work all the time. She's in a new relationship, like that she's figuring out how to navigate work, a relationship, and her friends. So I don't ever want to hold that against her. And then I'm busy and I feel like my schedule is very unpredictable when it comes to travel. And so you make time when you can. And then I just appreciate having friends where, you might not talk for a while, but you pick up right where you left off every time. Like there's no, oh, we haven't talked and so like our friendship's different or something must be wrong. Like life is lifing. It will always life. People are just in different places. And so you just have to find the time if it's a relationship that you care about.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. My best friend's here. I don't know if you met her. One of my best friends is here. She lives in California.
Okay.
We went to school in South Carolina together.
Okay.
We don't live in the same place. She is pregnant with her first child. And it's so cute. But like she's here working from the studio today. Just so I can spend like 10 minutes with her here or 10 minutes with her there, because it's like you have to grab those moments. Or you're going to wake up and it's going to be like, shit, it's been 2 years.
Right.
And there was a phase in my life where that was the case, where it's like, I haven't seen you in 2 years, because you FaceTime, you watch each other on social, you feel connected with people.
Right. But you're really
not
checking in.
Exactly.
Just
you're
because
not
you see someone on social media doesn't mean like they could be having full-blown
That's my issue right now. I'm literally going through the same thing where it's like, my friend just had a baby and I'm like, I gotta FaceTime you. And like the NFL season just wrapped up. So like I should have time, but somehow I'm still busy. But it's so hard to like make the time. When you see them on social media, so you're like, oh my gosh, you had your baby, congrats. But like actually keeping that relationship.
But check-ins look different. It might be like, hey, I'm just thinking about you today. Like that can go a long way. I don't know what they're going through that day. And they might need that and that's enough.
Right.
But like setting aside the time to have a FaceTime where you can catch up for an hour. And I think people that are parents, it's hard to find that time.
Oh, no.
I have one of my close friends in Florida. The best time for me to talk to her is at like 6 a.m. my time, if like when I'm awake, because it's like the kids aren't up yet or they're 3 hours ahead, so they might be at school. But that's when I talk to her. Otherwise, it's sending TikToks and videos.
I was just going to say, all my friend group does, so we send memes to each other.
You're not even talking. It's just videos
We're
and
communicating through memes or through like TikToks or like something. I'm like, this reminds me of you, or like this is so us. Like it's but then it makes you feel like, okay, and it doesn't require a response sometimes.
No.
You're just like, okay, yeah, I got it. Thumbs
You're
up.
breathing. We're good.
Yep. But I'm also like, I feel that today too.
Yes.
Like, thank you for that.
Exactly.
It's such an interesting thing because these young girls that are in college now, that is how they also communicate. And so it's so much different than like when I was growing up, you were in school, right? Of like how you communicate and make friends. And I also think one of the things that's really interesting to me, especially in sports, and I want to get your take, both of you, is the way women and men do it too, but I can only speak from my experiences, have the ability to be jealous or unchampioning. Like they're not rooting for you, but they're not rooting against you. They're just watching you. It hurts my heart. And I probably was one of those people at some point in my life. So I am not sitting here. No one come for me that I am perfect. I am not. But I do find now being able to celebrate people in their own path and their own journey. It's like that saying of like, don't dim someone else's light to make yours brighter. It just burns yours out.
Right.
But like, how do you guys navigate that in your roles of creating friendships that are actually true friendships? And sometimes it's not an actual friendship. You're just friendly, and if you hung out, that would be great, and maybe you will be more friends later in life. But it's not easy to go up to a female in this industry and be like, hi, I'm Kate, it's nice to meet you, do you want to like hang out, do you want to grab a drink in person, but then also in like a role that's probably similar to yours at a different agency or a different network.
I would say that this is probably bad. I'm probably not the person to go up and introduce myself, but I'm also very big on just meeting and connecting with people organically. So you see so many faces and you've probably seen them, but if we're in the same settings, I would much rather meet someone in person than follow them on social media because they're also a woman in sports.
Yeah, for sure.
And just watch, and they're watching me, and that's where your people might start to discredit somebody, in the work that they're doing. And so I think for me, I just would much rather meet someone in person, but I just won't. Again, I don't know if it's a pride thing. I don't know if it's a fear of them being like, you're like,
or they're
stuck
not nice.
Yeah,
like,
I think
I'm
that's
afraid they're going to be not nice.
If they're not nice, and I would probably be the person to like say something if they are rude. So I just would rather like, I know that
anger management classes. Here we are.
I know I'm not going to be rude. So I just would much rather someone, come up to me and introduce themselves because I know that I'm warm and would be really friendly. So yeah, I don't know.
I think it's hard too because I always feel like when I see someone, like I might not know you, but I know some project you've worked on or something that you've done. I've tried lately to go up to them and be like, hey, I saw you're working on it, or like, that's so dope, like, congrats. Like, I'm trying to push myself to go out of my way to engage with people that I might not know, but I see them doing something because, like you said, there might not be anyone championing them. And it's very hard as a woman to champion yourself because you are looked at as like, you're just all full of it, you're perfect, you're doing all of this. Instead of it's just like, dude, like, I'm doing cool shit. Like, I want people to know about it. Maybe it inspires someone to put that to the side and get that voice out of your head of like, don't champion yourself because no one's going to champion for you. And if you're not doing it for yourself, they'll do it with you, but they're not going to. Very rarely are people coming out of the woodwork like, that was the dopest thing I've ever seen lately.
Right.
Awesome. I mean, do you go through that where you're like, I don't want to say anything, I don't want to like post about this or celebrate it because I'm afraid? Or are you kind of I don't care?
I don't know if I'm worried about it. Sometimes I don't think I really care. I think I just would rather, like, if I'm posting something, it's because I want to. I'm not looking for a response or the approval of everybody else. I think my social media is more of my face than it is my work. And if I show certain things, in work that I'm doing, then I do. But there's no, like, I think social media is a great tool to, like, brand yourself, and I probably don't utilize it in that way. But it's because I'm not focused on that. I think I'm just focused on, like, I want to do a really great job at my job. And if people see me in my element and working, then they see it and they can make a judgment that way, But basing, what you think I do or how well I might do, at my job just off of a picture, I think isn't really fair, because it's cheating. That and, you can post a picture and people the possibilities are endless. You know, a picture can be something that it's totally not.
right,
you know,
right.
posing next to someone and you maybe don't even work with them, or you know what I'm saying?
You're
like
just standing next to them, and
exactly. So I think sometimes it can be strictly for optics.
Yeah.
And so I just would rather people see me in real time.
Yeah,
the
totally.
work that I do.
Yeah.
What should the young girl that wants to meet you or reach out to you do?
I would say I don't use LinkedIn a lot. I don't really like it.
I don't either.
But I do.
You use it?
Yeah, I do.
I do. I will scroll
one
it
more step.
sometimes just because I do think it is a great resource.
Yeah.
But I'm not the person to
Go search people out on LinkedIn?
Oh no, I do that. I definitely do that if I need
Super
to
super
does
smooth
it,
over
but
here.
she
She's like,
doesn't.
FBI.
No, yeah. If I need to
investigating.
find a contact, I am going down a rabbit hole of a company to find who I need to get to. But as far as
Connect.
Right.
as far as posting and like showing people
Gotcha.
what I'm doing, what my clients are doing,
Yeah.
I don't take the time to do it. Like I'm not going to post a long
hard.
essay of, you know, something that we did that might have been like a really cool project. I just am not.
Yeah.
But I would say I have people that reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I do always try to respond because I was there at one point. So I always want to be a resource, whether it's a 5-minute conversation or, you know, they're reaching out asking to just pick my brain. Like, I used to have major imposter syndrome. I think I still kind of do, but I am getting to a point where I am championing myself and I'm proud of the work that I'm doing and like know that I deserve to be here and all the things. So I do try to make the time to just word vomit and talk about my journey. I'm all over the place usually, so I like preface it with like, bear with me.
Yeah,
because I don't do it often.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, you want to know about my experience, and I try to be as authentic as possible. Like being, tied. What's the saying? Being politically correct. I really try to just be myself.
Yeah.
Because
so important because authenticity, and you work in a line of people that you're constantly telling athletes, we have this conversation all the time, like authentically be yourself, because people will have different opinions of you and experiences with you. And if the experience with you is always the same, their opinion doesn't matter, because it's like, okay, cool. Like that's not my opinion of her, but we had the same experience because you're meeting the same person. It's when they're meeting different versions of you, and you can grow and change and there's an evolution, but like it's your gut. You know who you are.
right.
And it's so comforting for people to be like, she is just who she is. And it makes me feel in a space where I can be who I want to be instead of like, shit, I got to be like that. I don't know how to do that. And then they lose themselves and you're not contributing to their success and authenticity.
Someone asked me the other day if I change my voice in different settings.
Do you?
I don't think no. I don't think he meant like my actual voice, but I think like the way I carry myself, my voice, I guess.
You gotta command a little bit more.
No, but I mean like in the sense of when you're in certain settings, like you're not showing yourself, like you're just like a blank person, like you're not. And I'm like, I'm me. So obviously I'm going to be professional always, but I'm still going to be myself, because if you don't know me and my personality and I'm one way in a certain setting, you're going to be like, who is this person?
Yeah. Where's the person I met last Tuesday?
Right.
Because they loved the person last Tuesday.
And it kind of like allows them to let, their guard down a little bit too.
Yeah.
So I do try to just be myself.
I think it's too like special, like when women, like we kind of on the championing yourself, and then I think like as we grow in our careers and where we're at, it's like making sure that the next generation, the younger women who want to come into the sports industry, that we champion them and that we're like passing along like the good energy, the good vibe, the positivity, because I think that's something that has evolved over the last few years. But I think like starting out, I mean, for me, I don't know what it was like for you. Not like you're that much older than me, but we're like the same age. We're like the same age.
Started it.
Yeah, right?
We're all the same age. Every single one of us on here is 25. We're all the same age. Okay, I'm good.
But I do think that it's for us to pass it along, and that is like such a big thing for women in sports today, and just to keep the good energy.
How do you navigate being, there's not a lot of females in sports. I find sometimes people automatically assume you're like someone's girlfriend, someone's wife, someone's assistant. And you're like, no, I'm a director of important shit. Like, what? Do you ever, or have you ever had an experience where you've kind of been maybe be portrayed in a different setting than was your actual job, just because that's their own ignorance, right?
Yeah, not so much recently. I feel like I haven't had an encounter like that since, I don't know, like 2022 maybe, that I can recall.
Yeah.
I try, I guess, to like make light of it, like, but also like, don't play with me.
Yeah.
You know, like, no, I'm not a girlfriend. I'm not the sister. I work with them. I like will make jokes sometimes, like, she'll like shock the guy and be like, are you the help, or like, what, you know, what are you?
Why are you not asking the guy that
awesome.
question? Like, why are they not asking them?
Right,
What are you to her?
Yeah, exactly. So I again, I think it's just people's ignorance. Sometimes like people can't wrap their head around women, attractive women, being able to be in a space like this and carry their own and be professional and, you know, be about their stuff.
Yeah.
So I try not to take it personally because it is someone's ignorance. And they just don't know.
It's going to happen. I guess that's what I say to everyone is like, to think it's not going to happen to you in multiple occasions throughout your career.
Yeah.
It will.
Yeah.
So like you need to kind of almost be prepared. And I think the best way to prepare the next you is to say like, hey, someone has said this to me and this is how I've handled it. Or somebody actually asked me the day to a night game. They're like, are you so-and-so's girlfriend? And I just laughed. And I was like, he literally would be the luckiest person on this planet if that was true. Unfortunately, it's not for him today. So thank you. But like, and then it was like not awkward for them. And it just kind of like moved on. But it's like, I want to be like, no. But it's like, if I say no, then it's just well, then what are you? It's like, I don't even need to entertain this conversation with you.
Yeah.
Just no. And then I hope next time they're like, maybe I shouldn't make that assumption. But I do think that it's interesting to me that it's always the female that gets questioned, never the male.
Yeah. I think also, and I don't even know if I answered this correctly, but I think you asked if I have advice for women, right? I would just say, like, like you were saying, don't over-explain yourself. Like, if you're going to, you know, say what you are, but you don't need to go down a rabbit hole of like, but I've done this, that.
Yeah.
And like, no.
I feel like you got to prove yourself to back up your resume.
And I stopped doing that. Yeah. Yeah. I think when I was younger, it was like, I know this person because I did X, Y, and Z. And like, no.
Yeah.
I just know them. Or, you know, this is my job, but I'm not going to ever over-explain myself.
And I think it's good because I think that shows growth in you, right? And it's awareness in you. And it's that security in you too, girl, as you've gone through your career to be like, okay, I don't have to do this anymore. But I also think too, it's the way you show up can sometimes impact someone's interpretation of what you might be. And you know what I mean? I'm not saying everyone needs to be in a full-on fitted suit with a bow tie on. But if you are in it's kind of like know your audience. If you're in a setting, be yourself, but also be prepared for how everyone else is going to show up. And I think so many girls are like, what should I wear to this? And what should I wear to that? I'm like, first of all, be comfortable. And if you have to pull on it or you feel like you're not able to sit comfortably and move, you're probably not in the right outfit for that moment in time for you. Because I think sometimes no one tells them how to dress. Like I literally had this conversation the other day. Why can every guy I work with show up in jeans, a quarter zip, a hoodie, and tennis shoes to a business meeting, but women can't?
Oh, I am.
But you can't. But I'm saying like, she's like, nah, girl, I'm gonna full on sweatsuit.
No. I think that's because some of my female coworkers, like, we're just more about being comfortable, be presentable, but be comfortable. Like being in a suit and a tie or dress pants and, you know, a button down T-shirt does not make you
more powerful
than someone who's in, you know, sweatpants. I'm going to be presentable every time, but I'm going to wear jeans and probably a bodysuit and something way more comfortable than a suit.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I'll be in sneakers.
See, sneakers,
squad.
Brat doll, it's fine. Just like Brat's doll today.
Yeah, Kate showed up in these like beautiful like 6-inch heels. No, they're probably not that thick, but they're
I had slippers on earlier. I'm like, I'm wearing slippers, so I have to put these on. Listen, I have been doing this way too long. Slippers till it's time.
Right.
But I think it's so true because, you know, again, once you feel comfortable in yourself, that attracts people to communicate with you. If you don't look comfortable, but I also think it's okay to say, hey, I'm not sure what to wear to this. What should I wear? Or Google, what are people wearing to this? Like, the guys I've had clients ask me all the time, what should I wear to this? Okay, well, this is what you should wear. They don't know either. Right. So it's not just you saying, I don't know what to wear. Yeah. It's like, okay, like what is acceptable in this? And then find something that's comfortable in your space within that realm. Yeah. But I do think it's always interesting because people forget that we're people too, right? Like we like to have fun. We're people. I am Kate the person. I just happen to be Kate an agent. Not, it's what I do. It's not who I am. Yep. And so sometimes when people see you, they expect this version of you and you're like, no, but it also helps me relate to athletes because I'm like, they expect this version of you that they watch every night on Tuesday and you're like very quiet and reserved at home and you're not screaming like you are on the court. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's good for them to realize you're people.
Yeah. I think also like I go to so many games and I'm like, oh my God, there's another one. What do I wear? Like I'm running out. I have a closet full of clothes. And I always say like I have clothes. I don't have outfits. And I am really running out of things to wear. So I will be like, my thing kind of lately has been sweat outfits. I love them. I make it cute. As long as my hair's done and I put, a little bit of makeup on, like you can't tell me anything.
She's like, yes, today.
Tell me anything.
Today.
Yes.
But I love that for you though. I do.
But I think I just have gone to a place where like what I'm wearing doesn't define how well I do at my job.
Right.
So
no. And I think too, it's also, like I said, it's just you. You're comfortable.
Exactly.
And then you can be a better version of yourself when you're comfortable. And you do need to push yourself to be uncomfortable at times. Like, don't get it wrong for everyone that's like, keep pushing. Like, yes, we get it. What for you has been one of the most memorable moments for you in your career? A good one and a bad one.
Ooh. That is hard because I feel like there's like a couple, but
on which side?
Hopefully the good.
Both.
She's like, they're all 5 bad. That's all I got right now.
Yeah, I would say a good memory. What was the question?
What's like in throughout your career? What's a really big high and what was a low? Maybe that's a better way to ask it.
Yeah, a high and a low. I would say a high for me had to be just the pre-draft process in 2022. I think we have kind of talked about this before. Just like seeing, managing and handling all the day-to-day stuff and putting together scheduling and just like staying on top of it. But then also our pro day, like not every agency gets to host one. And so we were a smaller one and being able to host it and see it all come together. Like I was the one that was on the ground handling it all, and then the rest of our group kind of just got to come in and the agents got to do what they were there to do, talk to the teams. And so I think that was definitely a high for me because it was a pretty successful day just for our agency. And then a low, I don't know. I mean, you have like the everyday stresses of the job. Like it's not always going to be perfect. There's the ebbs and flows of the business. But I don't think I can pinpoint like a real low. I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
She can text me and be like, wait, got it, came back.
Yeah, I mean, there's, like I said, there's the everyday stressors you can deal with. Clients might not always be happy, so you deal with those sort of things. But
you take a lot of energy on from clients that might not be yours to carry. That is mine. Sometimes you get them and their frustrations directed towards you, but it's not because of you.
Yeah.
And it's
I think sorry, not to cut you off. I think I don't necessarily do. I think the agent, and you're an agent, you deal with that more than what I would. So I've been fortunate to not
She's
really
shielded.
She's
like, baby, I'm a little... take that bullet over there, buddy. That's all you.
But I do think that I also tried to make sure that I'm doing a good job because it reflects him. Yeah. So if I'm doing a good job, then he might not get, the client might not be upset with him. So just making sure that like as a whole, us as a group, we're handling our business.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We love having you. Of course, can't wait to see you do what you do next, girl.
Thank you.
And I'm going to see you like soon in a couple of weeks, probably at Portsmouth.
Yes.
See you around there.
Yes.
And we'll get dinner. And you're going to wear heels.
We're going to say, I think we say that and then.
No. We're going to.
Okay.
If we don't, come for me.
No, I'm just saying in general. You know how don't you feel like you see people and you're like, let's get dinner, and like, you never do. It's just always that.
Tell her out.
Yeah, she's gonna be like, Kate, I'm sitting here at a restaurant. Where are you?
Exactly.
I love it. Okay, we'll keep doing great things.
Thank you.
Okay, Megan, loved having Ashley on the show. I love having her on our new set. It's kind of magical.
It was so nice.
It's nice. Like, it's funny. I think sometimes it's so intimidating to come on the show. And she was so vulnerable with what she's been working on, what she is working on, and really what she's been able to progress. Like, even talking about some of her struggles in 2022.
Right.
And how she's grown in her career, not only professionally but personally in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think has been really great for us to learn and have our guests learn more about how to continue to develop even once you reach your career path you want.
Right. And I just loved how she was authentically herself. Like, you could tell when she was sitting here, like, she stayed true to herself. And I think something we talked about earlier too is like, she stays in her lane. We're talking about how she doesn't like take on extra responsibilities because she wants to be great at what she does. Because I think for us, like women these days too, like, we want to like take on all these different roles and we want to help out so much to grow in our careers, but it's almost like we take too much and then it's like, what do we do after that? So I think it's so cool that she was able to kind of be so good with what she does in her role.
It's interesting too for me to listen to her talk about the smallest details to the biggest details and how she is in a support role and she's really thriving in it. Because I think sometimes there's this like factor in us of like, oh, the support role isn't a leadership role, but she is actually the glue of Lyft Sports Management right now. Like, she is the gatekeeper for not only the players, but the staff, their families, the teams. You know, I think realistically, it's an unsung hero role that she is in, and it's not an often role that you find a lot of credit given. And so I love her talking about how she's had to accept that she's not going to get the credit all the time, but she's still thriving in her job.
And so cool for me to hear that side of things. Cause like for me, I don't even know that that's like a role. Like, what is this role as, you know, as this? And so for me, it's like, wow, that's really cool and fascinating. Like, she is the gatekeeper, like you said. She is like, if something happens wrong, it's like, it's because she didn't like send the tickets to this like NBA.
She controls
stadium.
a lot.
Yeah.
Like, she can make your life easy or hard.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place.
It is.
It's hearing her talk too about how, you know, as a woman, she is working on making sure she's finding relationships and connecting authentically. I think so many times we talk on the show about like, reach out to people, ask them about their career or whatever, but also having the bandwidth to be able to give that back.
Right.
And so listening to her talk about how she's like, I might be 5 minutes or 20 minutes, but I always want to make sure. And I think it's a great space for her in her journey in her career to be able to do it. I love she loves matcha.
Yeah.
I love she loves lip gloss. And I think it's hilarious. She wants a phone charger even if she doesn't take her phone.
Love it.
But seeing her, you know, just thrive and be herself, I think it just continues to show me that there's a space for all of us at the table. And she continues to drive that narrative 100% as she grows in her career.
Absolutely. I loved having her on.
I know, it was fun.
Yeah.
I will have to have her back.
Yeah,
I think
for
there's
sure.
a part 2. I think we should start asking harder questions.
Yeah.
Right?
We
tell
should.
us the tea. We're going to get our little teacups out and have like, tell us the tea.
Please. I love it.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. It's been awesome having you here this week. We want to make sure that you guys love this show. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow not only our guest, but the show itself so that we can continue to bring you great content.
Make sure to let us know who you'd like to have on Her Table next. And stay tuned for next week's episode.